Save big money on plant protection supplies. Now at Menards. Defend your garden with Triazicide Insect Killer. Its fast-acting formula protects lawns, vegetables, and many other plants. It kills more than 260 insects by contact, above and below ground. Choose from ready to spray, concentrate, or granular. Save big money on Triazicide Insect Killer at Menards. And check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Welcome into the Roaring Repeater podcast here on 7220sports.com. I'm your host, Cody Tucker, joined as always by Jared Newland. We're in beautiful downtown Cheyenne, Wyoming, at our local town square studios. We have a special guest in the room, my 2-year-old daughter, Holland. So if you hear what sounds like a baby goat in the background, it's just her doing 2-year-old things. Because, Jared, I know you don't deal with this problem, but daycares just decide they're going to close. And they let you know at 5 o'clock the day before, and now I have 2 days with.
You know, it's spring break in town, Good Friday tomorrow, so I'm sure that's a lot of the reason why.
Yeah.
But at least they should alert you a hell of a lot sooner.
Yeah, that'd be good to know. And you know, we're off kilter a little bit. She had surgery a couple weeks ago, so she hasn't actually been going to school very much, but she had to come to the studio with me today, and she will be in Laramie with me later to do football interviews, so this is actually our second take of the Roaring Repeater podcast. The first one was rudely interrupted.
She got some sweet pigtails going on. I like it.
Yeah. Spring football underway in Laramie, Wyoming. The start of the Jay Sawel era, Jared. The word that was tossed around often on Tuesday was refreshing. And I know, like you say, nobody's trying to throw Craig Bull under the bus, but it is refreshing, man. These guys want to be more. They're still very much a team, but they want to be individualistic. They want to have fun. They want to listen to some music. And I thought something that stood out to me, which is really small in the grand scheme of things, but they already have the bucking horses on their helmet. And I remember when I was in high school, we didn't get the spear, the central spear on our helmet until the season started, and we always wanted it.
Yeah, that's something that's gone back a long time to where they wouldn't have the horse on their helmet during spring ball. But I do kind of like it because it makes the uniforms, especially on the scrimmage days and the actual spring game day, just more complete.
Especially those ones. They're kind of get raggedy looking.
Yeah, I totally agree. So having that on there is just fine. What's it cost? $1 a sticker,
Oh, yeah.
It's not like it's a budgetary thing before, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, the tears. Rolling tears here.
Kind of like what CSU has going through Fort Collins on football game days, folks. The tears are a-flowing.
Here you go. Cocoa Melon is usually the answer here, Jared. Sorry about that, folks. Daddy daycare. Watched Evan Swoboda. We were only in there for an hour. Paid a lot of attention to Evan Swoboda. My God, that ball just flies out of his hand. It's not very close.
Well, some of those videos you were posting, you could hear the ball hitting those gloves in the receiver's hands. Yeah. It was just that nice pop. It was like a catcher's mitt.
Yeah. It sounded an awful lot like Josh Allen when I had front row seats at Iowa back in 2017. I remember at the time my wife said, "Is it normal to hear a throw? Like just hear it?" No, it's not. And Evan was making those throws from the far hash, the NFL throws, and they were just zipped in there. And I wrote in my story, if there was a close second, Carson May, probably the 4-star kid out of Iowa, he, he's got some giddy up too. And Caden Anderson, it was really cool to hear Caden after practice. He was just, some of the guys were giving him some guff because he was so giddy. And he's like, "Guys, I've had a torn ACL. I haven't practiced in, 2+ years. This is my first practice. I'm pumped." So it was cool to see. There was a lot of smiles and people were excited, and it was good, man. It was really good to watch. And we got to watch stretching lines and stuff before. Now there's smiles, and people are happy, and it's all good. And once again, I want to reiterate, we're not crapping on Craig Bull. He was a CEO type. He would walk around and just kind of make sure things were going right. Jay Sawel's in these drills and having fun with these guys.
Yep. Yeah, and it's spring practice is for a lot of developmental stuff.
Yeah.
Even though they did say they're going to put 3 Air Force practices in there, things like that. That's great. But it's really to find out where they're at depth chart-wise.
Yeah.
And to see where these new guys are going to fill in that are on campus already and what holes they still have left to fill.
Definitely. Definitely.
And, just getting those guys getting through the drills, throwing the balls, running routes, doing those offensive line drills again, those kind of things, swim moves, whatever it may be.
Definitely.
And then, then it's a reward come later in April for the spring game to where they actually get out and have some fun and hit each other.
No doubt. And honestly, April 6th and 13th, the fans are able to come to watch practice. And tell you what, these guys are downright stoked about that. Caleb Merritt, Connor Shea, Jalen Sargent, they all talked about how exciting this is. And they kept using that word refreshing, and it was refreshing. It was refreshing all the way around. So didn't get to see a ton of what they were actually doing. They weren't doing a lot of 7-on-7 yet and stuff like that. So we didn't get to see a ton of that. But Jay Sawel did mention, too, he's mentioned this twice. Last year in the offseason, this team, as a team, gained 510 pounds. This year it's 641, and the difference is staggering in some cases. Sam Scott, I mentioned it to Jay Sawel during his press conference. He looks just like Christian McCaffrey. I'm talking ripped. This dude looks so good. Andrew Johnson from Cheyenne, safety. He looks like a whole new human being. Devin Body, wide receiver. Justin Stevenson, wide receiver. Fia Tulifono, Will Pellissier, Sebastian Harsh. The list goes on. They look really good. I mean, better than ever. They really do. Getting off the bus, that looks like an intimidating football team.
Well, that's what you like to hear, and that the off-season workout programs are working.
Yes.
And it's been working for quite some time. They've had a great group of strength coaches come through there since Craig started, and before, but since Craig started, now they've just continued that. And if they lose somebody, they just replace them with the next guy up type of thing.
And these guys move on to big jobs. Yep. They move on to Power 5 jobs, and, I mean, they're the real deal.
And with that facility, it makes you want to go work out, too.
No doubt.
It's not like you're going into the old dungeon underneath War Memorial Stadium. It's like, oh, gosh, we have to go in there and lift.
Isn't it amazing how they had so many good teams back then when they had to practice outside, work out in that? Maybe the game was just a piece of cake. Maybe it's too easy for these guys nowadays.
They weren't getting, NIL money. The portal wasn't open. Yeah, they used to win championships.
yeah.
What's going on?
Now they've made it too easy for these guys.
Real quick on the NIL and the portal stuff, Christian Leitner was on a national program this morning, and he goes, what's your stance on expanding the tournament? He goes, absolutely not. Where it's at right now is perfect. In fact, I'm going to go as far as saying get rid of NIL, get rid of the portal. We don't need any of that stuff. He goes, and then I get asked, you would have cleaned house in the NIL. He goes, I wouldn't have wanted it. Now, that it's obviously a little bit different when the money's in your face and you're 25 years later in your life too. Right. But it's easier to say. But at the same time, I like his mentality because he is old school. He goes, you earn your way to be able to play in the NBA. Sure. You don't need to be making NBA type money when you're in college.
Yeah.
You're getting a degree.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? Back in the day, if you would have told me Christian Leitner, I would have been like, oh, that pretty boy, rich kid. After watching I Hate Christian Leitner on 30 for 30 ESPN, he wasn't a rich kid. He was a total blue-collar cat. So to hear you say that he would have turned that down, that's pretty telling.
Yeah, and a lot of it's, I think the mentality of playing under a Coach K.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But things like that. But that was just interesting for me to hear that because you hear a lot of other guys, they're all for it. I used to play, whatever sport it was. It's great that the kids are getting paid these days.
Well, and what if Christian Leitner played at Florida Gulf Coast and not Duke?
True.
I mean, I get where he's coming from, but it's kind of hard to make that comparison when you're playing at the pinnacle. So another standout thing, Alex Brown. And what I love, Alex Brown, we all know, he only has 17 career catches. He's been here for 5 years. The guy's 6'4". He's every bit of 200 pounds. Looks the part. It just has not translated for some reason. Something I've loved, he made some great catches on Tuesday, but some things that I've loved is that Jay Sawel mentioned it again. I'm going to be a big cheerleader for Alex Brown. He hears me with that every day. I want him to have a big year, and he's going to need to. I love that. And he told me right off the bat, he has so much more in him, and I'm going to make sure to do any and everything I can to get it out of him.
It's calling him out, but in a positive way.
Yes. Yeah, and he mentioned yesterday, he was Alex Brown, he, talked a lot about how it wasn't always positive, and things weren't always positive, and he decided to come back. And I think he came back for Jay Sawel because I hear a guy like Wyatt Whelan tell me during Pro Day that I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous of these guys. We love Jay Sawel, and he said nothing against Craig Bull. We all respected him, but these are his words. He's a 70-year-old man who's walking up and down the lines and grouchy and doesn't say a lot. Jay Sawel's in there working out with them, PRing with them. Caleb Merritt mentioned when I go in for my 6 a.m. run, something I never want to do. Not never, but you know what I mean. Jay Sawel's in there running.
Yep.
And he's like, I love it. And Connor Shea told me the other day, he's like, man, he just builds you up so much that it makes you want to work hard and makes you want to play hard.
And I like how Jay said, he goes, hopefully I'm still here in 15 years doing the same exact thing.
No doubt. No doubt. Love it. And that's what I think you and I can agree. We both would wonder about Craig and go, this seems like the easiest part of your job is getting to know your guys and being friendly with your guys and getting to know them. And he never had that part. He was the total CEO. Let my assistants get to know him. I'm going to be on the ivory tower making damn sure things are going right.
And I guess that probably just goes along with certain people's personalities.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we might be seeing that with the basketball program as we speak.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Before we get into that, though, something that I love that Sawel said, too, a couple days ago before spring kicked off, he said, this offense is going to look different. And I don't know if there's a name for it, but I know a source told me that they're throwing spread in the mix now, and, 5 wide, quick throws. They're really trying to get the ball in their playmakers' hands. A quote he told us yesterday, this offense doesn't even have a name that we know of, but what it is, I absolutely love the simplicity of it. This is all about utilizing our players, That's what it really is. I told the offense yesterday, one of the things that we're going to do at the end of the spring, we're going to rank out all of our skill players 1 through 10. We better have those guys that are 1 through 5 on the field a whole lot more than the guys that are 6 through 10. That's just the way it is. So that's what we're evaluating every day. Love it. Our offense is just get the ball. And the quote from the other day from new offensive coordinator Jay Johnson, I just pictured him coming out of a dark room just with a dazed look on his face and seeing Jay Sawel and Jay going, hey, how's it going, Jay? What are you up to? I was just watching film, man, and I'm really struggling to find out why John Michael Gillenborg only had this many catches. I want him to have the ball about every 2 snaps. And Sawel laughed and said, well, I told him that's why you're here. That is so refreshing to hear.
It is, and of course, we don't want to go back and think about what if all those years under Craig, they would have opened it up just even 20% more.
Yeah.
Not 50, just 20% more.
Yeah.
What could have been.
And I never understood how this running game never set up the pass. That's just always something that stuck with me where, and you got these fans out there that are like, oh, you just want them to throw the ball all over the place. No, you don't. They have an unbelievable stable of running backs right now and a great offensive line, veteran offensive line that's coming back. No, their strength needs to be there, but that needs to open up a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah, it was a run game opening up another run.
Yes, it was.
And another run, and sometimes, a lot of times, a punt.
Yeah. You're starting to sound like a fan here, Jared.
Oh, sorry. I need to refrain.
But so far so good, man. When you get to see an hour of practice, it's great, but you don't really get to see a ton. They're still going through their drills and the stuff that basically gets them warmed up for the actual practice session. But, from what I can see, these guys look better than ever. They're more excited than ever. They're refreshed. They have a new refreshing message. They're not talking about goals this year. They're not telling you they're going to kick any doors down. They're telling you that, win the day, and that's all they're doing. And I know it's a bunch of crap that belongs on T-shirts and all that, but it really feels that way. I talked to Caleb Merritt, and I'll have a story on this, Caleb Merritt and Jalen Sargent, and it's just like, man, you guys have been here for 3 years, and, you hate to ask like this, but what are you still doing here? Because you haven't played, and in today's age, people bolt when they don't play. They're like, man, we have patience, and we know our time's coming. It says, your time now? And they go, I hope so. And they're not saying it in a way where it's like, oh, God, I don't have confidence. I hope so. It's just like, I hope so, but I'm not even thinking about that.
Yep.
We're going into day 2 of spring. We just capped day 1 of spring. So I love the mentality of it. I love Evan Svoboda. I guess Evan and, and Jay Sawel met in the hallway. And I guess Jay was like, you ready for this? And Evan's response was, "Are you ready for this?" And they're both just really excited, and it's just so good to see.
Yeah, and you just see the pictures of Jay. Almost always has a smile on his face.
Yeah.
And he's just enjoying it.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
enjoying this new role, and it's a breath of fresh air.
It is. And that's what we joked about, too. I said, I watched you for the first hour, and it looked like you didn't know what to do with yourself. And sure enough, I catch you hanging out with the safeties again, which obviously was a safeties coach for the last 4 years. And he said, yeah, I was. It was kind of, old habits die hard. I'm sitting there with Jason Petrino going, I saw this. And then I'm like, nah, he caught it, too. And that's why I hire really good assistants. So. So far, so good, man. It's just, I've been writing about it a lot, that it's just, he's just doing all the right things so far. And Tom Berman, though, brought it back down to earth a little bit. When we spoke to him on Tuesday before practice, he said, I'm interested to see what Jay's going to be like when some controversy comes. Because right now it's all good. It's feeling good. They've only lost 5 guys to the portal who didn't even start.
Well, make sure there isn't any.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we all know there will be no matter what, because it happens everywhere. You never know what's going to happen. But, and it could be the wins and the losses. It could be off-field problems, all that kind of stuff, classroom problems. There's going to be something, but I have a really, really good feeling about what's going on.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted that Jay's just some funny, happy-go-lucky coach. He's still going to crack the whip, and he's still going to – if guys screw up and guys don't do what they're supposed to do, they're going to be out of here.
Yeah, you only got to see an hour of it.
Yeah.
I wonder what it was like the other hour.
Yeah. But, the fact that he's just relating to these guys, I'm sure – I don't know, fans might be getting sick of reading about it, but it's so refreshing for me that I can't help but just keep asking these players, like, how are you feeling? What's the biggest differences?
And if you and other media members are refreshed about it, wait till the fans actually get to see this and see it firsthand.
No doubt.
They're going to be that much more refreshed. And then ticket sales, they're going to go up, I bet.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, oh, my gosh, what's going on?
This guy wants to be a man of the people for sure, too. And, you ask him, why are you opening up practice? And he's like, I know that people in the state love Cowboy football. They love it. Plus, right now, I'm sure there's some underlying things, too. The school wants more NIL money, no doubt about it. So the marketing part of it, that's playing a role. I truly believe that Jay wants to open it up and let fans see, but I also believe that it's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The fact that you get these fans closer to these players to fall in love with them, maybe you're more apt to open your wallet and hand some dough over for the NIL, which is a perfect segue into our long conversation, 20-plus minute conversation with Tom Berman the other day. Wyoming's athletic director is not beating around the bush, Jared. The Cowboys need NIL money, and especially right now in men's basketball, but he warned that football is here as well. Yeah,
and other sports.
Yeah.
You've seen it happen in wrestling. One of their best guys 2 years ago bolts.
Yep.
And a year and a half ago and goes to Oklahoma for a bag of cash.
Yeah.
And right now they have one of the top 125-pounders in the country.
Yeah.
And he's going to be getting calls if he hasn't already.
No doubt.
And hopefully he's a guy that wants to stay here and learn more under Branch and the staff. But at the same time, money's going to talk.
No doubt.
And if it's happening at those kind of sports, can just think about what it's happening in men's basketball.
Ugh. Men's basketball is just gross right now. It really is. And Tom Berman a lot better than I do, but he's refreshing to talk to as well, in my opinion. He's very open and honest, and he'll give you numbers, and he'll say, yeah, we're operating about $300,000 right now, which to me is like, wow, I can't believe you even got $300,000, and that's across all sports. He said to be relevant, to compete, they need to be around 750 to 800. And he mentioned that the top teams in the Mountain West, you're talking San Diego State, you're talking probably New Mexico, UNLV, teams like that, they're operating around $1 million. So he says they're not far off, but Wyoming fans are not embracing this at all.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It's chicken and egg stuff, right?
Yep. Because just for an example, if you're a $1,000 Cowboy Joe Club member, you know where that money's going to, and you know what you're getting in return. You're getting a parking spot. You're getting your seats wherever you're sitting in the stadium or the arena. You get certain areas where you can sit. If you donate to the NIL, you don't get anything in return other than tax break.
Plus, you hate to say it, your guy might leave anyway.
And actually, I don't even know, do you get a tax break on NIL?
You do, but I think they're waiting. I think that's what 1YO is waiting on, is that tax.
The 501c3.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And they need that because people certainly aren't going to hand over dough if they can't write it off.
Well,
and then it's biting the hand that feeds with Cowboy Joe. And, it's just.
And Wyoming's just, they've always been hampered. There's just not enough of us.
Yes.
And there are so many more alums, fans, in all these other areas. And, of course, we all know winning cures everything.
Yeah.
Everybody feels good for a little bit while anyways.
Yeah.
But, because think about Wyoming basketball. Just 2 marches ago.
Yeah.
But 3 seasons ago, you and I were on our way home from Dayton.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we were going to Portland.
Right.
Type of a deal. And how quickly the tides turn.
1 foot injury later, and here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's that quick. And we saw EK doing an event, an NIL event, on social media the day before he said, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So that really hurts.
I hope they didn't pay him for that one.
I hope not either, but that really hurts their cause. And Mitch and the gang over there at 1YO, they're trying their asses off. They really are. I guarantee that's what they're hearing from some people.
Yep.
What if I would have given $10,000 to Graham Ike and then he's gone anyway? And that's just a risk that it's going to take.
And what came out earlier this week, a couple of schools are doing concerts. One is University of Texas. They're doing it in the football stadium. And then Texas A&M just one-upped them. It wasn't supposed to be released, but Pat McAfee or Peyton Manning actually released it apparently. But George Strait and Parker McCollum are playing a concert at Kyle Field.
Love it.
In the round. So that place sits 105, 108. So in the round, if they're allowing anybody on the field, there might be 200,000 people there. I don't know what they're going to do if they're allowing people down there or not, but think about that. Holy shit, you guys.
That's a ton.
That's a lot of money.
And those are rich programs anyway.
And I don't know. I know George didn't go to Texas A&M, and I don't know where Parker McCollum came. If they were donating their time and their efforts to that, or if they're like, you know what, we'll do it for half price.
Well, they're probably making so much money on this thing they can do it for full price.
Yeah, and think about 100,000 people at $100 a ticket.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. It's a lot of scratching. I know you've been talking about it, and you've been saying, because that's what you got to do, right? You're never going to reinvent the wheel. You got to steal other people's ideas and make them your own.
But you cannot go into something like this and do it half-assed.
No.
And go small because, we don't have anything, we don't have money to pay for it right now, but we're gonna. Yeah. Maybe if people show up. But you can't think that way. You have to go all in or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to come see third, fourth tier acts.
No, absolutely not.
They want to see some of the best that's out there. And they will pay for that if you put the effort into getting them to come.
Yeah. And you got to steal ideas, and you also got to think outside the box a little bit. And something I mentioned, and I've talked about a lot, is, we all see it. You go right now to a restaurant in Cheyenne, a fast food sub place, for instance, and it says, do you want to add a tip, or do you want to add an extra round up $1 to give to God knows what? Start doing that. Do you want to round up to the next $1 to give to Wyoming NIL? Do it at stores, do it everywhere. And they need to land a corporation or two that really have the big bucks, that really need write-offs, that really need the big bucks. And then also, look what we just saw with the swimmers, with the GoFundMe. And I'm not saying GoFundMe, but if you get a bunch of people, I don't even know what that ended up at, but say 500 Wyoming fans who give $10, $20, it's going to add up pretty damn quick. And maybe you make it a subscription type thing where you say, maybe they start putting out a newsletter and here's where your money went. It's kind of like, hey, you paid for this dog to be saved. Here's a T-shirt that says I paid to save a dog, stuff like that. Like maybe John Michael Gillenborg gives you a phone call and says, hey, thank you for your $10 a month donation. It means a lot to us and we need it.
And maybe if you're a certain level of Cowboy Joe, or maybe any level of Cowboy Joe, do you want to add on $3.07?
Yes.
A month?
Yes.
So that's going to end up being, $36 and 20, whatever.
Yeah. That little bit adds up quick.
84 cents, I guess would be. It's worth it. And yes, I would check that box.
Heck yeah.
I would, as long as I know is that portion of it's going to the NIL, the other part's going to my membership.
I round up $1 every single time,
yep.
No matter what it is.
You just don't like pennies.
Yeah. Here you go. Well, and sometimes it is just a penny.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's 99 cents. Yep. I mean, who knows? But it adds up, and you're not doing the work.
Yep.
And it adds up. So I don't know. I think the GoFundMe is a perfect example because you have guys that are giving $20, $10, $5, but then you have Larry Nance's wife who all of a sudden pops a $5,000 one. And next thing you know, they raised like $700,000.
Yep.
And that's exactly where Tom Berman says they need to be, about $750,000 to $800,000 a year.
But they have to do it the right way. And Tom alluded to this, to where there's fraud going on out there.
No doubt.
There's certain kids that are being offered an X amount. They get on campus, that X amount's not available to them. They're like, well, who told you that? Well, the collective did. Well, the collective doesn't. They're not recruiting you.
Yeah, no.
We're recruiting you as a coach.
Sure.
So, yeah. And I believe there's a couple lawsuits going on out there.
I think the Florida quarterback that went to Florida, he was supposed to get millions, and it didn't happen. So, I don't know, man. I know I keep seeing fans go, I'm not giving anything to a collective. I'm not doing NIL. And it's like, all right, well, then I don't want to hear you when things aren't going well. And also, we touched on attendance with Tom Berman, of course. And, the loudest people who gripe, well, I would go to games, but I live in Utah. Oh, well, you live in Utah. So, sorry. Sorry. And I'm really sorry you live in Utah.
But donate to the collective then.
Yeah.
If you're not going to spend your money to drive to Laramie or fly to Laramie and go to a game or buy season tickets, then donate to the collective.
And Berman touched on, too, all the empty seats at the bottom. It was kind of off the record thing, but he's like, those people need to give us their tickets. How many times have you mentioned that, Jared, on this show? Give your tickets back to the athletic
department. Am I still blue in the face?
Yeah. They'll get them to somebody to fill up those seats. It's as simple as that. And Tom said he's tried. He said he went and, basically focus groups, I guess. 100 students, 4 different groups, something like that. They literally, the overarching theme was, we're busy.
Well, intramurals,
yeah,
you need to not do them on nights of those weekday games. And I know that's a little tough because there's a lot of stuff they have to fill in, but there's ways around it. It's just like when I see those intramural, I shouldn't say intramural, the public soccer fields on football game days. There are 1,000 kids and with their parents and families at these parks, not even a half a mile away from War Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding me? How about you start your games at 8 a.m.? Kids don't care what time they wake up when they're that age.
No.
And you end it by the time kickoff's around.
Absolutely.
But they're still going, and that just irritates the hell out of me.
No doubt. No doubt. Something else we've talked about, Jared, and I don't know if we've talked about it openly on the show, but does Tom Berman, for whatever reason, he just got another game with UConn in football. Does he ask UConn's athletic director, can we play you in basketball as well?
Now, this is a home and home now, not a
yes,
for the Clemson.
Right. Yeah, this is a home and home, but why would you even do a home and home with UConn is the problem. They don't recruit there. There's no fans there. What are you doing?
I think it was because UConn, so-called Power 5 conferences said, we'll come to Laramie.
Yeah, I guess.
Because they were just at Utah State this year, this last season.
Yep.
Yep.
But, I mean, that does nothing to get the juices flowing there or here.
No.
So but the point of the whole thing is, do you ask UConn's AD, all right, well, we're talking football, can we do basketball? And Tom Berman was really open. He was like, basketball coaches are a whole new monster. He said it's beyond bizarre that coaches won't get games against their friends, AK Wyoming against UNC, Wyoming against CU, things like that. And he also said that it's a big deal with agents, coaches' agents that say, he'll take this job, but he is 100% in control of scheduling.
Tom said he's 0 for 10.
Yeah, he's 0 for. He's 0 for. And he said, I don't think I could do any better. And he was like, the bottom line is people don't want to come here because of the weather and the travel and all that.
That is such BS on the weather thing. I mean, it could be bad anywhere.
Well, he mentioned Dayton by name, and he said we thought we had a home and home with Dayton, and they literally called and they were like, "Well, we hear you guys like shut down roads, and I mean that's how bad the weather can get."
Well, how about you take a charter?
Yeah, and that's the thing he said. He was like, they don't take charters, so they just don't want to come here. And it doesn't matter if Wyoming's a quad 1 team like they would have been going into last year's season, or a quad 3 or 4 or whatever the hell they were this year. They played 5 home games this year, Jared, in non-conference play. 1 against an NIA school, 1 against a Division II school. And I have San Diego State fans online bitching that we're screwing up their seeding because all of a sudden, hey, we got to come to Laramie. Well, Wyoming needs home games. I'm sorry to break that to you. If you're in our conference, you play your conference. You've already tried to leave twice. It didn't work. You play your conference.
Yeah.
And it's not about balance like the insane beat writer in San Diego likes to preach. It's not about balance. For Wyoming, it's not about balance. For Boise State, this year it was about balance, but Boise State can't get anybody to go there either. Fort Collins has a tough time getting people there. They don't want to come play in these arenas, in these towns, in these states.
And I did see that there was a question saying, well, why doesn't Wyoming work with CU, CSU, and DU on getting a team to come to the Rocky Mountains and play both of them in a 4-day period, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They do a little bit.
Yeah,
there is some of that going on. It's just, but if CU gets an agreement with Dayton, let's say Dayton agrees to go to CU, getting them to just come to Laramie, hour and a half north, and now that their coach says, well, we hear that the road's closed, that's in the back of their head saying, well, we might not even make it to that game anyway. You know what? If there's a game scheduled, YDOT's going to get the bus there.
They're going to get you there.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No doubt.
And roads are just as bad in Ohio as they are in Wyoming
Yeah.
certain times of the year. So don't give me that crap.
Well, this year was kind of a perfect storm, right? Because you have a bunch of one-and-dones, which Tom Berman said, God bless those guys. They gave it their all. They played their ass off. I'm talking about Sam Griffin, Aquel Cott, and Mason Walters. But they take online classes, and nobody got to know them, and nobody even knew who they were until February. It also didn't help that Wyoming's football season went until basically New Year's. And it really didn't help that they played 5 home games in non-conference basketball.
And there were 7 home games in football.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more of an investment in football.
Yes.
And I get it. People the last, let's say 10 years really, have invested in football.
Yeah.
8 of those 10 years for sure, because things were going good.
More stability.
And they're spending money on postseason.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And it's just easier to stay on that train.
Yeah.
Than jump off and jump on another one.
Yeah. Well, it's tough, too, because Wyoming football is a statewide thing because they play on Saturdays. So if you're in Grable, Wyoming, you are making a plan. It's an event. You're staying in a hotel for 2 nights. You're coming down here.
We just wish more of them did on a consistent basis.
Sure, but for hoops, I mean, we have to be realistic about it. It has to be Cheyenne. It has to be, especially Laramie, the students, and Northern Colorado. It has to be because Grable guy isn't coming. Maybe on the weird offshoot Saturday if they have a marquee opponent. And then you've also got the hotels gouging the hell out of people. I mean, it's just there's so much stuff. There really is, but football is Saturday. It's an event. You come down, you make the plan, you come. Basketball, there's probably I would love to see how many people in the state of Wyoming have never even been to a Wyoming basketball game.
There's people in Laramie that have never set foot in the arena.
That's gross.
And there was a guy, was it the CSU game? It might have been the CSU basketball game. Sitting right in front of us, kept turning around and asking questions. Which they were all good questions, but I was like, man, where are you from? He goes, I'm from, he may have said Cheyenne. Said this was his first game he had ever been to in the arena. And they only went because his wife won tickets from the Brown and Gold.
Wow.
That we donated to him.
So that's another thing, too, is even if you get these first-timers like that guy, maybe he comes back because that ended up being a good, unbelievable game. But if he came for San Jose State, Fresno State, which those were buzzer beaters this year, so that's not a good
but
you know
folks,
what I mean.
This guy wasn't in his 30s. He was in his 60s.
Yeah. That's insane. It really is.
And he was asking, like, well, when was this built? This is a great facility. How old is it? I said, well, it was built in 1982. And he goes, no shit.
Yeah, it's about half your age, sir.
He had no idea that it was 42 years old.
Yeah, wow. That's wild. I mean, we can't even, because of where we are in life, we can't even imagine that. But I bet it's happened more than we think.
Yeah.
And then, I've told Jeff Linder this straight up one-on-one. People are saying they just don't relate with you. They don't like the way you look on the sideline. They don't like your antics. They don't like the way you look. They see, guys leaving in droves. Now we've got Wyoming has 4 guys in the portal already. I don't think it's that big of a deal, personally, from a basketball standpoint, but it's 4 more guys. After 9 last year, the year before that, you lose Marcus Williams, the freshman of the year in the Mountain West. It's just, it's becoming an issue. However, it's happening all over the place. It's not just happening at Wyoming. Yeah. And Tom Berman mentioned it, and we've said it 100 times. You go to games because you're a Wyoming Cowboys fan. When you have a marquee matchup or some badass coming to town like Jimmer Fredette back in the day, that gives you extra oomph to go. But you go because you're a Wyoming Cowboys fan, and that always makes me think of the early 2000s, driving in a blizzard from hell and actually going off the road at the bottom of the summit, thank God the bottom, to watch Wyoming, Josh Davis, Marcus Bailey, Uche Nsado-Mati play Delaware State. Wouldn't have missed it. Clearly. Wouldn't have missed it. And it had nothing to do with Delaware State.
Yeah.
Wyoming's never been able to get quality non-con teams here. It just has never happened. But now it's getting so bad they're not coming at all. And, I mean, look how late the schedule came out last year. Just to get 5 teams, one of them Northern New Mexico College.
Well, and then another comment was, we'll move some games to Cheyenne. Where in the hell are you going to host them in Cheyenne?
Where? Yeah.
I mean, that comment was like, do you even go to games?
Yeah. Yeah. Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Well, and even Casper, I mean, what is that? Is that really going to do anything?
No.
That ain't going to do it. That's going to do nothing.
And if the only team you would get to go to Casper is going to be a Black Hills State or a Montana State.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 teams that you will get there.
Yeah. And why Montana State isn't coming to Laramie every year, and Denver, UNC. I mean, those aren't even sexy marquee matchups, but they're regional.
I know why.
Get them here.
But I'm not going to say it on air. And if you guys think about it, you'll figure it out too.
But it's just, man, it's.
Well, like they did a game in Rapid City 12 years ago. They played South Dakota State there. So South Dakota State came to Laramie, and then they played South Dakota State in Rapid City in a neutral. Huh. And it was, it was a good event.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of alums for both schools in the Black Hills area.
Yeah.
But you just can't rely on that year after year.
No, you can't. But the things you can that are in your control are doing the things that Larry Scheid did and walking down to the Union, saying, come to the game. It makes a difference, man. When I was a little kid, Richard Peace gave me his gloves and his wristbands and all that crap, and I was a Wyoming freak after that for years.
And the only interaction that the students have with these players can't be just at the Buckhorn.
No.
They have to be able to see them on campus.
Yeah.
Even if you're not going to class because you're taking online classes, go hang out in the student union.
Yeah.
Interact with some kids.
Yeah.
Now there's a Chick-fil-A there.
Yep.
Go stand in line at Chick-fil-A and visit with people. Don't leave your headphones in.
Yeah.
And not talk.
And look unapproachable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. We talked about the Cowboys have lost 4 players. Brendan Wenzel is gone. To me, he's the, dare I say, only loss.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, and we as, I guess, media members and as fans really weren't expecting him back anyway.
No.
He had an extra year.
Yeah. He's
graduating. Good for him. He's gonna go make some money somewhere.
Yeah.
And then he'll probably go make some money in Europe.
I'm thinking about like Barry Sanders. I'm not here for another rebuild.
No.
I want to go play somewhere where I have a chance to play in the NCAA tournament again, and if I have a chance to put some coin in my pocket and be closer to home where my family can watch me. I don't blame Brendan Wenzel one bit. Caden Powell as well. Understanding source told me his mom's not in great health. He's from Waco, Texas as well. Maybe he sees the writing on the wall a little bit. I dare I say he didn't progress as much as People had hoped for this year, really cool of him to come back for another year when so many people left. But, Cam Manio's the answer. He's the answer there, and I'm
that
sorry.
is the key guy that has to stay around for the 24-25 season.
And Berman did say, I fully expect Cam Manio and Kel Combs, he thinks the portal is done. He thinks they're done for the year. Now, things can change, clearly, but he thinks they're done for the year, and I've also heard from another source inside the program that they think it's good. They think they're good to go now. Obviously, you can't take anybody's word for it nowadays, but as of now, they think they're here. They lost Jonas, can't even pronounce his last name. I've heard that he was not going to pan out anyway.
Which is so ironic to hear that after you read the quotes from Jeff saying he's the most athletic guy he's ever coached.
Yep. Jump out of the gym.
And then you see him in the warm-up lines when he was in the warm-up lines, throwing down windmills.
And he could.
And all this stuff, but something wasn't translating, obviously.
Which is weird because I read that his dad is the guy in Lithuania who gets these, he's known for getting basketball players ready to go. Anyway, he didn't work out, and Jacob Theodosio, the little bit we saw him, he just looked completely overmatched. And when we're talking overmatched, we're talking about that grinder of a 5-game non-conference season Wyoming played at home.
So if he doesn't pan out here, what was Villanova thinking by recruiting him?
Yeah, they're probably thinking,
thank goodness.
God. Yeah, no doubt. So I think the Cowboys are in pretty damn good shape, to be honest with you right now. If you have Cam and Kale, you could build around that. Tom really thinks they have a chance here to take advantage of the high school system and get high school kids in here when everybody's trying for quick fixes with the portal. They are going to have to get a couple portal kids, no doubt about it. But if you can limit that to 2 or 3 a year, and hopefully, as Berman said, they have at least 2 years of eligibility, we would have loved to have. Imagine having Sam Griffin and Aquel Cott for a few years, Mason Walters for a few years. You'd be excited about that.
And look at what Joel Scott did at CSU.
No doubt.
I mean, that guy was Black Hill State.
Yeah, you don't think they wish he was coming back for another year? Yeah, I mean, it'd be great, but Tom Berman he's right there with the fans. He's right there with you. He knows that you didn't get any kind of relationship with these guys. He also knows, because he's being realistic, Wyoming won 8 conference basketball games this year. I've said it 100 times, knock me over with a feather if you would have told me 8 conference wins at the beginning of the year.
I still go back to one of our podcasts in, I guess, early January.
We were struggling.
Because we were like, December is when we were saying, find me 5 conference wins.
Yeah. January,
we're like, we're already there.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt, man. It's just, and Berman said it, Jeff Linder and his staff did a great job this year. They got a lot out of that team. They really did. Should they have beat Fresno State in the Mountain West tournament? Hell yes, they should have. And I think they would have given Utah State hell. I really, truly believe that.
That was prime matchup right there.
Yep.
And where Wyoming really didn't match up with them, both regular season games other than 15 minutes of a half, of the game. I really do. I'm right there with you. I think they would have raised havoc.
Yep, no doubt. And, man, I think the tournament in a lot of ways lived up to the billing. I sat there on day 2 as a fan and sat in the stands and watched those games. I want to say 3 of them went into OT. It was really good. And
you drank $12 beers, didn't you?
I did. I just looked at my account, in fact. And I ran into a Wyoming fan, and I was wearing a Slayer shirt and half in the bag, and he was like, "Are you the 7220 sports guy?"
Nope.
Like, not today. Not today. I'm here with you, sir. So it lived up to the billing. It was good. It was really good. I personally thought it was great to see New Mexico. Their fan base was second to none at that tournament. Man, they were good. They were so good. New Mexico's kind of that, I think you and I agree, we've both felt they're kind of that kindred spirit, right, with Wyoming. Yeah. I mean, the crappiest part of that tournament is Wyoming didn't have anybody. They're not good right now, and they did not. When Wyoming's good and New Mexico's good, that tournament is legit.
But you think about, it's been since BYU and Utah were in there when that entire lower bowl was sold out Friday and Saturday.
It was
and there
good.
was, you actually saw people in the upper
decks. Oh, you did. Yeah.
And that hadn't happened at that tournament for a while.
I was up there in the upper deck because I didn't want to be in anybody's seat, and almost was.
Yep.
There were a lot of people up there. So, yeah, it was good stuff, man. You sit there the whole time just jealous, though. You're like, man, Wyoming should be here, and the fans should be here. And This should be so good. And I found myself pulling for Fresno State, and they played so well against Utah State that next day, only to have their coach step up to the podium and go, by the way, I'm done. That was my last game. So hopefully next year, I think I think Wyoming's going to be in a good spot compared to a lot of schools next year. It'll be interesting to see how all that shakes out with the portal. I know, New Mexico is already losing Mashburn. Air Force lost Petraeus already, and we had heard that Petraeus was leaving anyway. CSU is going to have to do some rebuilding.
Their entire starting lineup.
Yeah, Ledie's gone at San Diego State. There's going to be Butler's gone at San Diego State. I mean, if you have Mannion and Combs back, that's the great thing about basketball. Takes a few guys.
Yeah.
Couple few guys, you throw some parts around them, man, you're in good shape all of a sudden. So who knows? I don't know. I don't know the answers. I loved how transparent Tom Berman was. I really did. We don't talk to him often, but when we do, he's so transparent. I absolutely love it.
And if you guys haven't read it yet, go on and read the article that Cody posted.
Yeah.
It's really good on 7220sports.com.
And I was going to turn that into a Q&A, and I just thought I didn't ask all the questions, so that didn't feel right of me to do anyway, but I think it flowed way better this way, and it's called Wyoming's AD Weighs In on the State of Men's Basketball Program. Definitely check that out. Cowgirls be hosting South Dakota on Friday in the Super 16 of the WNIT.
How stupid is that the WNIT can't use Sweet 16? They have to call it the Super 16.
Yeah, that is weird.
These trademarks just...
Just pinned a story, too, right before he came in here, what jersey numbers are the new guys wearing at Wyoming. There's a ton of guys changed their numbers this year, so you might want to check that out, especially without names on the back of the jerseys. You might want to see who's who. Also have a story on there about Wyatt Whelan. Spoke to him at Pro Day. He is hanging up the cleats. I was wondering why he wasn't competing in Pro Day. Another growing surgery for Wyatt Whelan. Man, he had 3 of those during his career at Wyoming, and he said there was days he didn't even think he'd be able to play, and he just kept rolling. So, Deron Harrell as well. He's another guy. He did compete in Pro Day. He didn't play at all for the Cowboys this year. The senior cornerback out of Denver, the transfer from Wisconsin. He had major hip surgery in the offseason. They broke his hip in 4 different places. He played with a torn labrum all 2023 or 2022 with that injury. So, check that out. Also have a story, 5 things we're keeping an eye on during spring football. Evan Svoboda being the number one. Not to mention this offense. See what this offense looks like. So we'll get to see the offense more so than we ever have. Of course, we talked about it. Wyoming finally has a players coach, and it's paying off big time. Check that out, Svoboda. They want to see him take overall command of this offense. There's a story on that. There's a story on Trayton Welch, who had a great pro day for the Cowboys as well. Andrew Peasley was really impressive at pro day. That was really cool to see. He was launching it, man. He really has a pretty damn good arm that you just kind of take for granted. So, also, a little kind of a goofy story that took me about 10 hours to do. Which NCAA tournament teams have Wyoming ties? There are still some Wyoming ties alive and well right now, including our buddy Mr. Doran, who is the head athletic trainer at UConn?
Yes, sir.
Hopefully he's getting ready to put a pop knot on the Aztecs tonight and their arrogance. I make no bones about it. I don't care about how the Mountain West does in the NCAA tournament. That check does not come to my inbox, so not caring much how the Mountain West does, especially those guys. Steve McLean, and he was bounced early, but there's some guy, Pat Kelsey, just former Wyoming Cowboy.
Just announced today.
He will be the new head coach at Louisville, which will make our producer, Matt Ozzie, happy, I hope.
He just texted me, so not too long ago. So let me read this to you because it's actually pretty funny. It's good timing. He goes, Pat Kelsey just said he was his wife's third choice, and it worked out pretty well.
He texted me yesterday, and he said he looks like the kind of guy that'll steal John Calipari's Cadillac converter. That's the kind of coach I want. I don't know about you, but I'll take him. So ton of football content, ton of basketball stuff still on the website. Feel free to get over there and check it out. There's some really good stuff. We'll be back in Laramie here in a couple hours. Go interview the guys. Day 2 wrapping up of spring camp. I will be speaking with Jay Johnson, the new offensive coordinator, as well as Sam Scott, who I mentioned earlier. Man, dude looks like Christian McCaffrey. It's insane. And when I brought that up, Coach mentioned we need to find because he's way down the pecking order as far as running backs go with Harrison Whaley and McNeely and DJ Jones, the new kid from North Carolina. Not to mention last year's starter, Jamari Farrell. There's a ton of talent in that backfield. They need to find a spot for Sam Scott, and I think they will. And when I mention Christian McCaffrey, when I mention that name, what comes to mind? Like finding a way to get him the ball no matter where he lines up.
Well, in this new so-called whatever spread they're running offense, you're probably going to see some more dump passes.
Totally. To TK King.
And getting these guys on the run out of the backfield so they're actually running downfield instead of sideways.
Yeah, I would imagine they're looking at what the 49ers do with Christian McCaffrey, and they're going to, because we you talk to fans and they're like, Sam Scott, I mean, he did okay last year. I mean, he's the fifth string running back right now. He could very easily carve himself out a really nice spot, lining up at tight end, lining up in the slot, backfield, having a running back and Sam Scott in the backfield, which we saw how many times last year, even leading the way for Evan Svoboda and Andrew Peasley on quarterback draws.
Is there still a fullback?
Yes.
Okay. See, a spread with a fullback? That's badass.
Yep. I think sometimes you got to pull that. I think sometimes they need to pull that fullback and put Scott in. And then
then you got two weapons back there, or maybe three.
I loved when Jay Sawel said, we're going to find out who our top 5 playmakers are, and they're going to be on the field the majority of the time.
Yep.
It's just like, let's do it. Please, let's do it. Really excited about this team. I know I always am, and but it's different.
Yep.
It is different, man, and I'm sure you're saying to yourself, I've heard Cody say it's different before, but they won 9 games last year. It was clearly different. It's been getting different. They have a really, really good culture over there. So excited, man. I am actually excited to go over there and talk to these guys every day. So last thing before we go, I want to give a shout out to my good friend and your good friend, Ryan Thorburn, who just got a job, as he says, on the dark side, working for the University of Wyoming in the athletics department. He's going to tell the stories of some of these guys and help you guys get to know these players even better. I know that, they're really trying to push for the NIL stuff, and that's only going to help. And Ryan's the perfect guy for this job. He's just he's the ultimate professional. He's a good guy. But a lot of you guys out there might not realize how hard it is to go from being an actual – I'm not saying he's not an actual journalist now, but going from a journalist who, if something bad happens, you're writing about it. That's not the case when you work for the University of Wyoming. And for a good example of that, you've been on that side before too, Jared. When Jeff Linder got kicked out of the game at Nevada this year, Wyoming's press release didn't even mention that Jeff Linder got ejected from the basketball game. So that's what I'm talking about. That makes it really tough.
And it's okay to mention it.
Yeah, you would think.
But, like you've already seen, Ryan's been on the job for 3.5 days.
Yeah.
You've already seen some really good content coming out of there.
Doubt.
And it's not just because we actually watch it or look for it every day, but it's positive stuff that you could actually I didn't know that about him. I'm going to dig deeper and actually go in deeper on this subject
no doubt.
Or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Ryan's a great hire, and more so, I think not only did UW make the right hire, it's smart of them to do this. CSU's had an in-house beat writer for years and years, maybe even when you were there, I don't know. But Mike Brohard, they hired him from the local newspaper, and he's come in and been their guy. So, and I saw it at Michigan State too. I think a lot of bigger programs around the country have an in-house guy. They really want to pump this stuff, and they really want to pump as much positivity as possible to let you fans know that there's some really good kids and some really good coaches, and they're human beings just like you and I. So I thought it was a great hire. Selfishly, I wish Ryan Thorburn worked for us. Really like him. I just respect everything he does. So I'm excited he's still here. I'm
exactly.
I get to see him every day still.
That he's still living in this square state instead of a rectangular state up in the left coast.
No doubt. He still drinks terrible beer, but, hey, we'll get him.
There's a lot of IPA drinkers around here, too.
We'll get him fixed. All right, well, unless there's anything else you want to touch on here, Cowgirls once again play Friday night, tomorrow night in Laramie against South Dakota.
And if they win, or maybe you say when they win, they do play on Monday evening. I don't know if it's a home game or not, but they do play Monday for sure.
Cool.
So.
Cowgirl tennis on a little bit of a roll here, too. They won the last 2, beat the crap out of Boise State and Utah State at home. They're hitting the road to face San Diego State and UNLV.
And Coach Clower, I did see that you were eating some crab last night in San Diego, so bring some back, would you?
Holland, I want to give a shout out to you too. You've been really good, minus the dump that has been laying in your diaper for the last 53 minutes and 57 seconds.
Edit. Look at that stink eye.
Mean stare.
No pun intended there.
Yep, unless you farted, we're in trouble. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Can you say bye? Say bye.
Bye.
Say bye. Can you say bye? Bye. Bye, fans. Can you say go Cowboys? You can say it better than that. Say go Cowboys. We're not getting out of it. All right.
So long, everybody.
There you go. All right. Have a good day.
You prepared your kids for their first steps. The first day at school, their first dance, that big test, all the wins along the way. With a College Savings Iowa 529 plan, you'll prepare them for even more. Register before May 31st for a chance to win a $1,000 contribution. Visit collegesavingsiowa.com to make the first move toward a bright future. College Savings Iowa. It's how parents get through college. Administered by the State Treasurer of Iowa.